Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championships are going on right now. A lot of people have been crowned world champions at this moment. Right now, the black belt divisions haven't closed yet, so that's still going on. That'll be done tomorrow. But while the black belt competition has started, there have been some interviews that have been taking place, and one of them was with Buchecha, and he had a couple quotes that I've been hearing a lot in the jiu-jitsu community. I've heard it. It's been going on for a while, but I just wanted to address it just because this is a newer story from Flow Grappling. So a couple of quotes they have from him are saying, "I like to fight with people who are respectful because jiu-jitsu is a martial art. It's not MMA. Trash talk makes no sense." And then he also said, "I never saw these clowns doing this stuff in judo. I think jiu-jitsu is going in the wrong direction. I'm glad there are some old school guys still here. If people don't learn some manners at home, the pyramid is the place to make you humble." The pyramid is referring to the venue where the world championships are held at. So the idea being, you talk a lot of shit, like, I don't know, something like a Dylan Dennis, for example. Well, eventually you're going to go to Worlds and compete, and you're going to, in Buchecha's words, be humbled there. So as far as that point goes, this is a topic that just keeps coming up over and over in a lot of these commentary videos that I have. And it's this topic of professional sports being entertainment. Obviously, all professional sports are a form of entertainment. When you're looking at how professional sports make money, you're selling tickets for spectators. You're also looking at distribution deals, whether that's a direct distribution where you're running your own stream, which probably isn't the ideal way to do, but running your own stream and charging for it. Or if you're having streaming companies bid for the rights to do it, whether that's like a Flow Grappling, a Fight Pass, an ESPN Plus, something like that. Or if you're just if you end up on TV as well, it's another option for you. But in either case, if you're looking to sell a ticket, that means that the person who's buying the ticket is going to be buying that ticket in lieu of doing something else to entertain themselves for that night. So whether that's going out to a movie, whether that's going bowling, whether that's going out, just going out and about, going out to get a drink, whatever it is, when they're buying that ticket, they're paying for entertainment. When they're taking their time at home to watch the event, they're paying for entertainment. So there are definitely a lot of people, and especially right now with jiu-jitsu the way that it is, a lot of the people who watch jiu-jitsu and who follow it closely are people who already train. So for us, when we're watching it, we kind of like the technical aspect of it. We like the martial arts aspect of it. But if you want to grow and actually be able to bring in more money from a spectator standpoint, where you're actually, and eventually if you want these fighters or these jiu-jitsu guys to make a lot of money, that's how it's going to have to be. You're going to have to bring in more money, both at the gate for these events, but then also from distribution deals, where that money can then be kind of trickle down into the fighters, because obviously if the promoters are making a bunch of money and they're keeping it all to themselves, well, then there's going to be a promoter who comes up here is like, hey, there's a bunch of money to be made in jiu-jitsu. I'll make a little less and be able to buy off all the top talent. Then all of a sudden, people are going to start digging in their profits to make sure that they can afford the top talent so they can have the top show. So eventually it does find its way down. It does eventually trickle down. And a lot of these shows are run by jiu-jitsu people anyway. I think most of the big shows are run by black belts. I know Seth Daniels, who runs Fight to Win, is a black belt. Metamorph was obviously run by the Gracie family. But they were black belts. Kasai is run by a black belt. So in a lot of cases, the people who run these things are people who either have competed, do compete, or train with people who compete. So their interests are in line. So whether or not you have to talk trash to be the most entertaining, I think on an individual fighter level, if you don't like to talk trash, you as an individual don't have to be a big trash talker to be successful. You look at a guy like GSP, for example. Now, granted, he was very fortunate in that he's Canadian, but he also was Canadian at a time when there really weren't a whole lot of other top Canadians in the sport. And I guess that time's still now. But when that's the case, where you're the one guy in your country that actually cares, that's doing well, it's easy for them to follow along with you. That's one of the big appeals that McGregor had. Now, McGregor has a lot of other appeals to him that's made him such a worldwide star. But for him, Ireland's a culture that really appreciates fighting. They didn't have a great Irish fighter. And all of a sudden he comes along, not only is he one of the first guys to get ranked, but then all of a sudden he's one of the first guys to get a title shot. He's one of the first guys to win a title. And that really helped him out a lot. So GSP was able to be pretty mild-mannered and go pretty far, just because, for one, mild-mannered and polite is what Canadians are known for. But then also there weren't a whole lot of other Canadians out there. Whereas an American, you're just one of many. So in MMA, for example, if you're Daniel Cormier, for example, yes, you're an American champion, but there are a lot of other American champions. There are a lot of other American top contenders. So being American doesn't exactly make you stand out in that way. But that point aside, the point I was trying to get to is that, yes, on an individual level, you don't have to talk trash to be able to sell well. You just have to be unique and be someone that people want to actually pay attention to and tune in for. But from the sport level, there are going to be some characters in there, because most characters, especially in a combat sport, or most times in a combat sport, you're going to have people like this who do like talking trash. And if people want to be like that in jiu-jitsu, that's perfectly fine. If you're trying to sell something, if you're just going to like an IBJJF Chicago Open or something like that, you're not trying to sell anything. You're not really building much of a name for yourself. You're just kind of doing it to do it. And that's kind of a douchey thing to do. When you start getting to the world level, when you're starting to try to build a name for yourself, if you want to talk some trash or draw some attention, that's perfectly fine with me. Because at the end of the day, if this sport's going to go where we want it to go, and where we want it to go is to a point where the top guys can actually make some money as competitors, you're kind of going to need some characters in there who talk some trash. And that's unfortunately for a guy like Buchecha, unfortunately, that's the way it is.